Welcome to the Gritty Hour. Time to get down to the nitty gritty.
I worked basically in the professional theater, but not on Broadway, off Broadway. And I worked as
And that's 2 blocks over?
yeah, yeah. Well, I worked at this one little theater that was just a couple of doors down from Barnes and Noble on 18th Street near Fifth Avenue, called the Medicine Show Theater Ensemble. And I did a number of designs for them, set designs, and directed a play for them. And we used to get people pulling up, and they were looking for this restaurant, which had become very trendy, which was down in the next block, and we had to try and explain where it was. And there was another store that was on that block that was a good landmark, and it was the Revolutionary Bookstore. So we used to say that this trendy restaurant was slightly to the right of the Revolutionary Bookstore.
Understood. No connotations whatsoever.
No.
So you teach film, and then you also teach journalism
Mm-hmm.
in SUNY Ulster.
Yes, and I don't know, it's an increasingly difficult task. When I started teaching it there, maybe 15, 16 years ago, I would say that most of the students read journalism and they experienced journalism on a regular basis. Now I find it very rare that a student has actually read a newspaper or even understands the basic concepts of journalism, and it makes it a lot more difficult.
Does that reflect at all in the current state of journalism?
Well, it's getting there. I know that budget cutbacks have pretty much eliminated the concept of the copy editor, which is why you'll find absurdly silly mistakes in even papers like the New York Times. There's no one there really sort of guarding the gate. Also makes it difficult for someone who wants to get into it, because classically the people who became journalists very often, like I did, had a undergraduate degree in English, and basically you learn journalism by being on the staff of the newspaper and having an editor basically tell you, no, you can't do that, or yeah, no, you should do that, and yeah, no, and basically correcting you and getting you to the point where you could pretty much write a story in your head, without a typewriter or a word processor, and
then get it into the print without somebody reading it before
well,
the end user.
yeah, well, and somebody would then edit it and get it in there. Although I learned that the best course of action was to learn how to self-edit. To put something away for a little bit, and then come at it like the first reader, and have questions and notice all the things that were usually left out. People have this tendency to, yeah, I know what I'm saying, and they don't exactly express it. So when you self-edit, very often the copy's very clean, and when I've written for magazines, I've noticed that what appears in print is pretty much what I submitted, so it hasn't had to undergo a heavy edit.
Because you pre-edited it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now, and have you seen a drop-off in demand for the class itself?
Yes, just in general, our program at one point I think had maybe 40 to 50 students enrolled in the concentration, which also includes a concentration in film, a concentration in public relations, and a kind of a general track. Now we're down to maybe about 10 or 12, and a couple of reasons for that. Obviously, we have competition. Dutchess Community College takes off a lot of students who live in the southern part of the county, and also they have much better facilities, and of course those with good grades go to SUNY New Paltz.
I'd love to know how if their journalism classes have dropped off. I'm just curious what the younger people think as a potential career in terms of journalism. Do they see it as any future in it?
I think a lot of people in the communication and media arts concentration are looking for more lucrative jobs in, for example, public relations. Almost every entity that you can think of needs public relations. Particularly right now, they all need someone who could serve as a social media manager. So someone who has an idea of being a journalist is very much tempted by these other positions, which basically pay more and have a better future. At one point, I can remember visiting the Poughkeepsie Journal and their editorial offices on the 3rd floor. And as you stepped off the elevator, you basically saw a sea of desks and people at those desks. And you could hop onto one and basically walk from one side of the floor to the other on top of the desks. You know, last time I visited there, you would have to be a broad jumper to get from desk to desk. You know, staff has been greatly reduced. The photography staff, I think, is non-existent. You know, maybe there's one person doing it. And this shrinkage, which is all across the, you know, the industry, is just makes it very discouraging for someone who wants to start out in it.
Right, so that's why I'm just uneducated hypothesis. I would think that the demand for those classes have dwindled, as you say, because the kids don't see as a viable career choice monetarily.
Right, right.
Yeah.
And, you know, and there is that, you know, not that kind of opportunity that there even was maybe 20 years ago, where there were also more local papers. They would take people on, they would pay them a little something for articles, and, you know, people felt that they were, you know, getting initiated into the business. And I think a lot of them, though, I asked them on the first day, what is the most important characteristic that a journalist has to have? And they say, oh, they have to be a good writer, or they say that they have to be a good observer and various things. And I say, no, that's not it. I said, it's curiosity. You have to know the what and why of everything. And that very often, you know, students will have trouble coming up with ideas for stories. And I said, you know, when I walk from my office on campus across 2 or 3 buildings to get to where I'm teaching the course, I can see about 15 stories as I walk, potential stories. And they're like, where do you see those stories? And then I sort of give them a list of things that they could write a story about. And they're like, they're sort of shocked by it because, you know, they didn't think of it. And of course, if you can't